Flights are pricey, planning feels chaotic, and that family trip keeps getting pushed. I hear it every day from business owners and busy professionals, and I felt it too. I'm Ross, the founder of Itinerary Boss and your host. After 10 plus years of planning work and personal trips to over 20 countries, I became the guy who found the deals and turned points into upgrades. This show helps you turn everyday business and personal spend into points and miles for premium travel. Each week, you'll get step by step tactics and short episodes, plus expert guests with specific use cases tied to your most asked questions for travel plans that'll help support your business, goals, and your life. Go ahead and grab the free Points and Miles cheat sheet in the show notes to speed up your learning. And now, on with the show. Welcome back to another episode of World Travel Made Easy. I'm your host, Ross Alcorn. Super excited for this week's guest, Jacob Goldberg. He is the co-founder of SkyKey, and he's going to be diving into an awesome airline tool that it's going to save you a lot of money and make your life a lot easier. So, really excited to have him here. Hey, Jacob, what's going on, man?
Hey Ross, thanks so much for having me on. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here and talking to your viewers about how, best save money on travel, talk about what we're doing at SkyKey and answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, best time to talk about it. Going into the new year, everyone's got their goals. Everyone's trying to save money. Everyone's trying to travel more. So we got you here at the perfect time. But for people who haven't heard of SkyKey, what exactly is it?
Yeah, so SkyKey is really one of the simplest things in travel. And, to give you a background as to why I came up with this idea, I've been traveling all over the world, for the last 10 years. I'm super passionate about the space. I was into the points and miles world for a long time. And I eventually realized that the best way to save money on travel is to just pay the least amount for your flight. But it's really hard to do that because airlines change the prices constantly. You never know if you're getting a good deal and all that kind of thing. So, what SkyKey is a online technology that basically guarantees that you pay the lowest price for your flight. And the way that we do that is when you book a flight, let's say you book a flight for $500. Most people don't check the price of their flight after they book. They're really focused on like search and looking for deals ahead of time. But when you book your flight for, let's say, $500, SkyKey monitors your flight 24/7. If the price drops by a dollar or more, maybe even 50 cents or more, we actually work with the airline to get you the difference in fare back as a refund or a flight credit, depending on the type of ticket that you book. So whether it goes from 500 to 400 or 500 to 450, we're always working behind the scenes to get you money back on the travel you're already booking. And the biggest surprise, we founded the business 2.5 years ago, my co-founder and myself. The biggest surprise for us has been just like how big the opportunity is here that no one's paying attention to. We see that about 40 to 50% of flights are dropping on average after people book. Most people, just sort of out of sight, out of mind. But you can save, on average about $130 on after bookings. So it's really easy to use. You literally just sign up for free and enter your flights or sync your email account, and we'll download all your flight data for you. And then anytime the price of your flight drops, we get you, money back, and we charge 25% of what we save you. So it's great in that like there's no subscription, there's no deal alerts, there's no like you pay this and we'll give you this. It's like if we get you money back, we take a little bit of that, we charge you a little bit of money. If we don't save you any money, we don't charge you, it's free to use. So it's great in that way.
Yeah, and I mean, just the fact that you don't have to go back through and be like, oh, did I get the best deal retroactively, right? Because I think that's for me, like I book way out in advance. Some people like to book closer, but I remember, when Hopper first came out, years and years ago, you're like, all right, how do I track this? How do I track this? And it's like, if you're planning well in advance and hey, here's kind of a sweet spot of when to book, you're going to get a good deal. But I remember on a snowboarding trip, like I booked one in advance and some of my friends, waited for a while and they got actually a better deal than me. I'm like, damn, I need to go back and do that. So it's like those specific use cases. I think for a lot of people too, sometimes maybe they don't want to try to get the best. They aren't so into the points game and they don't want to try to maximize and get the best cents per point and fly in on, random dates. They just have, they can only fly out on a Thursday or Friday and come home Sunday. So like for them, they're kind of stuck with that. And that's just a great opportunity for them to save some money. So I think it's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's really interesting you said that. That's how I am. Like when I was younger and didn't have any money, like I was always looking for ways to save money, right? So if I was going to do a skip leg trip, if I was going to fly like, three connecting flights to save a few bucks or fly the red eye, that was great and all. And, finding ways to sort of scheme the point system. But as you know, like that takes a lot of effort and you have to put a lot of time into it. And there's a lot of like gotchas and like
Hmm.
blackout dates and like, oh, I can't get my seat, my award ticket for three passengers. It's only available for two. And I like, I never have been somebody who can just travel on a whim. Like I have, my wife's a teacher, so like we're always traveling at kind of like the same times everyone else is. And like I want to travel at the times I want to travel and on the days I want to travel. And I don't want to be flying like red eyes and all that kind of thing. So I figured like, and I do the same thing. I book really early. So I figured like just, book your flight as soon as you know or want to travel and you can accept the price point. And, if the price drops, we got your back. That's what we started the company to do, and we'll get you money back. And it's really like the easiest way to save money on the travel you're already booking. And the other reason, the other thing that prompted me to start the company was that, my background's in financial markets and economics and that kind of thing. And it always kind of like struck me as strange how variable priced the flights were. So like nothing, if you think about it, there's nothing else that you buy on a daily basis that changes in price as much as airline tickets do. And there's not really a good reason for that other than that airlines want to make the most amount of money, right? Most of them hedge their fuel costs. Most of the cost structures are pretty fixed on long-term contracts with labor and such. And it's just not like it's almost like not fair, right? It's not right. I not, and it never that part of it never really felt good to me. And so I felt like if we could build a product that would sort of level the playing field for customers who are booking travel and make sure that like, hey, if you're on this flight, like SkyKey's going to make sure you pay the least amount that that flight sold for. And that's what the business is about. And yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and it's cool to hear your background because you get it. It's not that you just traveled. You have that piece, and you know the economics and in the back end. And I think it's funny because what I like too is everyone's like, okay, do I book cash tickets 53 days in advance? Is that the best date, right? Or is Tuesday the best day to book? And for some people, like you said, it's like, if you're not really into this game, you're just like, dude, I just want to save some money. Like, I want to not have mental gymnastics to have to jump through hoops. I want to use one or two credit cards and earn points, and use those for simple redemptions, but then have something that I can book when I have to do it like this. You guys built an awesome product. So I'm excited to check it out, and I know our listeners are as well.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, yeah, if you want to fire up your screen, you can walk us through it, just to so
For sure.
people who are watching on YouTube and Spotify can check it out.
Yeah, so here's the homepage. So the website is theskyKey.com and super easy to sign up. I'm actually, and it's free to sign up, takes 2 seconds. I'm actually logged into my account already. Really, one of the most common questions we get is like, do I need to book flights through SkyKey or can I just like book them normally? You always like book your flight normally, book it through the airline. Don't book it through like third parties like travel portals and stuff like that. We could talk about why. But when you book your flight through the airline, what you would do is you come to SkyKey, set up your account, click upload your ticket, and you can do a couple things. So I would say about 75-80% of our customers actually sync their email. We support G Suite, Gmail, and Yahoo email sync. And what that does is anytime you book, change, or cancel a flight, that automatically populates in SkyKey. We're automatically catching your flight and tracking it in real time, 24/7 for price drops. So you don't have to continue to return to the website to, track your flights. But some people,
Hey, I wanted to take a quick break to say thank you so much for tuning into the show. The only way the show grows is through listeners like you helping us share it. So if you're enjoying the show, it'd mean the world to me if you hit that 5-star rating, shared it with a friend or family member who's ready to travel more, save money, or just needs a little bit more inspiration and that nudge. And if you're posting about it on Instagram, go ahead and tag Itinerary Boss, and we'll make sure to reshare it and shout you out for giving us a shout out. Thanks so much for the support. It truly means a lot. And now back with the show.
some people don't use email sync, if you don't have one of those email types. And you can always just manually upload tickets as well. And so you would select an airline. We support the five largest airlines in the US and code share partners. So if you book like Lufthansa through United or Air France through Delta, those tickets will work as well. So you just select your airline, you enter your confirmation number. We'll just put in a six-digit code here for now. And then you enter whether you used money or points miles for the flight. So um, let's put, 500 bucks here. Then you continue to do your passenger information. This is myself, this is my wife. Um, you would just select whoever's passengers are on the ticket. If you want to add a new traveler, you can do that here. It's super easy. Hit continue, and then cart to charge is like if we save you money, we will charge 25% of the value that we save you. So you will get back the full savings amount as a credit or a refund, and then when your flight departs, we'll charge you for the 25%. If we don't save you money, we don't charge you anything. You could do if it's personal or business. Some people like to have personal and business cards separate and click submit. And this goes into our system. We're tracking this flight in real time now. Because it's not a real confirmation number that I just tracked, it's not going to populate here. But you have a My Flights page, total amount saved, how many flights have you tracked before, and then you can have a savings page down here. So if you scroll down, you'll actually see all the flight credits that SkyKey's gotten you. If you click View Details, it'll show you the confirmation number and sometimes the flight credit number if applicable. So like for Delta and American, there are flight credit numbers that the value goes to. So it will show that in some cases. And it's super simple, really. I mean, you get your credits, your savings, and you got your flights up here on the top. And then if you want to review any past flights, you can do that here and just see, what have you traveled or what have you canceled. So that's how it works. Really straightforward. Most of the magic happens behind the scenes, not on the website itself. But made it that way on purpose.
Yeah, no, super simple. Seems like anyone, beginner, if there's people who are just getting started out, advanced people, it's really built for everyone. Questions just around, so say someone wants to just get flight credits versus get it back towards their credit card. Is there a way just within there you just kind of pick that, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So that is all dependent on the type of ticket that you book. So if you book a refundable, most people book main or economy tickets. One thing to note is that basic economy tickets don't work, and that's because like airlines don't allow for price adjustments for basic economy tickets. But if you book a main ticket, like a regular airline ticket, the vast majority of those, like when SkyKey sees a price drop, it's going to come back to you as a flight credit for the difference. But if you pay extra to book a refundable ticket, if that price drops, that difference will get sent back to the card that booked the ticket. There's not really much optionality with that. There are some cases with Southwest where there's some optionality, but it mostly has to do with the airlines and staying in the guardrails of what their systems allow, and it's based on the type of ticket you book. And then if you book with points, um, the points go back to whoever booked the ticket. So whoever's account, like SkyMiles account or United account, the points came from, those are going back.
Okay. Yeah, so probably a best practice, I'm guessing, is like if I'll just use Charlotte for example. We're an American hub. I mainly fly an American, right? Unless we're doing, positioning flights or going, overseas on business. If I were to say, oh yeah, you know what, I'm going to find a random Southwest flight and probably fly it one time a year, it probably some like a credit for me that's not going to matter as much. So is that like a strategy you like to talk about sometimes?
Yeah, definitely. And that's worth bringing up too. Like if you don't travel much or if you don't travel on a particular airline that much, like a credit is going to expire after a year, so you may not be able to use it. Southwest has a one-time transfer. You could transfer to someone else, and some people do that. We don't do that for people, but some people do that. But yeah, 100%. Like if you are booking on an airline that you don't travel as much, maybe it makes more sense to book a refundable ticket because we will secure that price drop for you, but in refundable fashion versus non-refundable. Obviously, that costs more, and you're sort of like playing the game of like, is
Yeah.
that going to drop? It's about 50% of the time. So 50-50, whether it's going to drop. And obviously that changes depending on when you book it and if it's peak, non-peak, all that kind of stuff. But Yeah, totally. Like I always tell people, like if you're not traveling much, you travel once a year, like it's probably not the best product for you because you're not really going to be able to like experience the value of using your credits on your next flight to save money if they
Okay.
expire.
Yeah, no, for sure. Is there a like sweet spot for, because you mentioned if someone travels like once a year, is there like, do you say like you need to travel like three, four times a year? Is it like business class, like people who travel a lot for business?
I would say it depends on how much you travel and if you're based in a hub or not. So if you're based in like a small city and you fly a bunch of different airlines, just depending on what's cheapest, and you fly once or twice a year, it's probably not going to add much value for you. But if you're based in a hub and you travel on a specific airline at least twice a year, we can definitely add value. And the way that works is that if you have a flight credit for $100 on American, you book your next flight, that $100 you save on your next flight. And so at least twice a year, I'd say our average customer is traveling once a quarter, roughly speaking. But obviously, we have a lot of people who travel every week,
Yeah.
so it varies.
Okay. And then you mentioned expires after a year. So do those flight credits for every single airline, like if I were to get a flight credit today, next December 16th, that would expire?
That's airline dependent. So
Okay.
there's different policies for different airlines. Usually the credits expire either a year from the original booking date of when you booked the ticket, not necessarily when we got you the credit, but sometimes it is, especially with American actually. It usually does expire about a year from when we get you the credit. But on other airlines, it's a year from the original booking date of the ticket that we got you money back on. And on like Delta, for example, you just have to book your new ticket by that expiration date. You don't actually have to fly it. So there's some nuances in some of that, and we actually have. I should have shown it, but we have a blog that we write every week or every other week about those kind of things, and we actually I think have a dedicated blog about expiration policies for each airline.
Okay, cool. That's helpful. Yeah, so if you have questions more specific there and you're listening, just make sure, right? Go check that out because yeah, that's there's always different nuances and that's good. I'm sure you guys probably that was one of the main questions you got because people always ask, do
Yeah.
points expire? Do flight credits expire? All those things. And it again, it varies by different airlines, right? And everything. So that's helpful.
Yeah, and also we have a global support team 24/7. So we have chat, email, phone, like we're super accessible. We want to make sure that people that use SkyKey are getting value from it. And obviously, like we're the ones who create the value, but you still have to use it. Like if you don't use your credits or don't know how to use them, then the value is sort of useless to you. So we want to be there for our customers and making sure that people understand how to go about using that stuff.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's very important. What about for just like since you guys started, if someone uses it, you mentioned like, average user flies once, travels once a quarter. Like are there ballpark savings that are associated with that when they're booking?
Yeah, so if you're just flying regular like domestic economy tickets kind of a thing, you're going to save money on about every other flight. And it's about 128. Actually, last year it was about 128, $130 on those savings. And there's often multiple price drops on a flight. So if you book at like $500, sometimes, I mean, the biggest we've seen is 17 times. We generated 17 different credits on price drops. Every single time the price drops, we are like securing the lowest fare for you. So that average of like I just said, $130 is you might experience that in multiple savings, but it comes out to about every other flight. So like we book a flight, you may or may not save money. The next flight, we'd expect you to save money, and it kind of goes back and forth. But it depends. Like if you book first class tickets, like the amounts can be extreme. Like I think the biggest we've ever gotten a customer back was nearly $5,000 on a one way. I want to say it was Florence to O'Hare in first class, and it was like a $5,000 price drop. And I think the most points we actually yesterday we got back 100,000 Sky Miles for a customer on a price drop for travel over Christmas and New Year's this year.
Wow.
And that price that flight's on January 3rd, and that price just dropped yesterday, 100,000 Sky Miles. So yeah, I mean the amounts can really add up, and pay for a lot of free travel for you if you book expensive tickets for sure, or have a big family.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask. My next question was just around family. So say, you have a family of five, you go book that and say you pay 500 a pop, 2,500, and they drop, everyone would then get those
Yeah.
credits.
Yeah, so the credits, so if it's refundable, it goes back to the card that's
Yep.
booked. That's sort of a straightforward refund. If it's a non-refundable, like normal ticket, the credits all accrue to the passengers. So if you have a family of five and it dropped by $50 per passenger, each person would get their own $50 credit. And you would only be able to use that for those passengers. So you couldn't like take Sally's credit and use it for Adam or that kind of a thing. You have to kind of and that's just because the way that airline credits work and that it's not transferable for the most part. Southwest, obviously, there's a little bit of a separate policy with that, but for the most part, if a credit comes back to you, you have to use it for your own travel.
Okay. Okay. No, that's super helpful. Thanks for clarifying that. You mentioned I'm curious this just on like the point side. So the 100,000 points back to the Delta. So say someone for Sky Miles, if they got that back to Delta, would they then have those 100,000 points just in their Delta account, or would they be able to use those? Because I think a lot of people have questions around that. Would they be able to transfer those? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so if you book a Delta flight with Sky Miles, those are just going to go back as Sky Miles. So you're not going to be able to
Mhm.
transfer them, but that's going to go to who booked the flight. So it's a little different than credits, whereas credits are like need to be in your name and you need to
Mhm.
book the flight for yourself. Miles are going to go back to the original account that was used to book them. And as long as you maintain airline activity on your account, like your miles don't expire. So that's great. And people always ask too, like, how do you charge people based on miles? So we actually just assume like a 1 cent per point value for any miles we get you back. Just so that we don't get into like subjective opinions about how much they're worth or not worth. We figure like at the least they're worth 1 cent per point. If we get you back 100,000 miles, like we got this customer yesterday, we're gonna make, $250 on that because we're gonna call it $1,000. So that's how we charge based on miles.
Okay, no, that's helpful. And if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably shooting to get three, four, five, the bigger redemptions. But no, that's thanks for clarifying that. What about so say someone because I know people have I'm just thinking through sometimes when people are trying to learn points and miles, right? It's like, okay, if I transfer these to here, then how do I get these? So let's just say someone has 50,000 Chase, Amex, Capital One, and then they transfer to either United, American, Delta, and they use it, but then they get some of those back. Would they then be able to take those Chase, Amex, Capital One points and put them back on their card, or would they stay within the miles account?
Yeah. So they stay within the miles that they were transferred to. That brings up another good point. So a lot of people, we've seen like a pretty big trend in travel for sure with like credit card portal bookings. A lot of people are booking through Chase and Amex and booking their flights through there and using their like points for those types of bookings to get the 25% off. I think that may have changed a little bit with Chase recently, but nevertheless, we actually tell customers like you don't want to be doing that. And I'm not you're the points guy, like I'm not, I'm not the points guru, but one like you booking flights through those portals is not a good use of points like for the value. And also more importantly, if you do that, like SkyKey can't save you money. And that's because airlines block third-party bookings from being able to receive price adjustments. So if we get a ticket that's booked on Expedia or booked through a travel portal, like a corporate travel portal like Concur or Amex Global Travel or Chase, um, we often see that those prices drop, and like we'll email customers saying, "Hey, like just so you know, like next time just book it through the airline so we can actually save you money." We can't save you money if you book through a third party like that, and it's because of how airlines structure the tickets, and it has to do with their back end and who owns the ticket and that kind of a thing. But we always say, like, to answer your question more directly, we always say, like, if you have the points and you want to use points, transfer them to your partner that you want to use them for from your credit card account and book it through the airline. In that case, we can help you.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm not a big I don't promote going through any of the OTAs because you're going to get the cheapest, but then you're going to have three, like we talked about earlier, you might have three layovers. If one gets canceled, it's a pain.
It's a major
You're
pain. Yeah.
exactly. It ends up costing you more time, money, and headache. But I love that you clarified the corporate travel piece because Concur, like for business travelers, I worked at multiple companies. Some we had to go through Concur, some for flights sometimes, some we could go, and then some it was like, hey, you can use your own personal card, book directly. Because a lot of people ask too, like, hey, how do I want to make sure I get my loyalty, rewards if I'm staying at Marriott or flying American or United. So that's super helpful.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you book on your personal card and expense it or whatever, we can, take those tickets all day. And we do a lot of business with business travelers who do that. But yeah, booking flights through credit card portals doesn't really offer you any value. Like, there's a reason that it makes it look that the credit card companies make it look like you're getting value. Yeah, you're spending some points and you're getting a little bit of a discounted fare for that, but you're not. I mean, you can get so much more value from your points. So if we're talking points, like just try to avoid that if you can.
Yeah, yeah. If you're listening, you follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn or listen to this podcast, the biggest things that I hit on are don't redeem them for Amazon gift cards, statement credits, or you're right, paying yourself back because again, like Jacob said, that's how if you see the commercials that you get hit with and it goes, hey, you have 100,000 points, it's worth $1,000 or sometimes even less via Amex. That's where they win, and that's how you don't beat the travel game if you're playing the points game.
Yeah, that's what they want you to do. So don't do what they want you to
Yeah,
do.
exactly. That's why when you're listening and you're looking at why are points so hard, why is it confusing? Because that's what they're trying to do is win.
And listen, I used to work for one of the largest banks in the world. And so like trust me, that's what they want you to do. The system is set up against you. And it's one of the reasons I came up with the company. It's like, look, I don't want to spend hours and hours and hours researching and like getting deal alerts for random times that I can't ever travel and paying a subscription for this and that. Like I just didn't want that complexity. And I honestly came across this sort of by accident. Like I was looking at a couple flights I had coming up and I realized I was looking at changing the flight time. And I realized I was like, whoa, like the one that I'm on is selling for way less. I called the airline. I was like, guys, what what would you recommend? Like, oh, we'll just give you a credit for the difference, or you can cancel and rebook or whatever. So that's how the idea was born, and we figure out how to automate that whole process.
Simple problem, just solving it.
Yeah, super simple. Super simple. Yeah.
That's why I have this podcast. My business is it's like points are overwhelming. People struggle with it, right?
Yeah.
It's ways to, and you can do it so many different ways. Like I can't I mean, we could, but I don't like the anxiety of waiting 3 days before to get up and go somewhere. I'd rather every year map it out. Hey, we're going to get a good award availability and having some flexibility to go different places versus, hey, we got to go next week and we can
Right.
fly in 7 layovers. It's like, no, you just strategically do that. But yeah,
Yeah, and like anecdotally, I would say personally, the thing like the SkyKey difference that it makes for like my bottom line, like personally, financially, is like I can travel the like peak exact time I want to travel on every flight. I don't fly in first class on every flight, but like so I'm not saving millions of dollars here. But like the difference between like flying on times and days that you don't want to travel because it's cheaper versus just booking the one you would actually want to book, like SkyKey will save you the amount that's in between those two amounts. So that's kind of how it, works for me and how I look at that. And yeah, I mean that it's super simple.
yeah, I love it. Yeah, I'm already thinking my 6 a.m. flight back from Vegas when we went this summer, peak time. It was
Oh
just,
man. Yeah. Yeah.
it,
Vegas too. That's a rough time for Vegas.
oh yeah, yeah. It was a good time. I made the flight though. That's all that
Yeah,
matters.
there you go. There you go.
Well, cool, man. Hey, Jacob, this was awesome. I know it's valuable for a ton of people because everyone wants simplicity. Where can our listeners find you, and what would you say the best next step is?
Yeah, so website is theskyKey.com. That the best next step is to go to the website, sign up. It takes 2 seconds, not 2 seconds, 2 minutes. and enter your travel details. Sync your email if you don't want to think about it and you want us to just sort of monitor your flights automatically. And anytime you make a change or whatever, um, upload your flights if you don't want to do that. And I usually tell people it takes a few flights sometimes. Like a lot of times, people will upload flights like they have 5 flights booked. Like we could save them money instantly. So there's a good chance that if you have a good number of flights already booked that they've already dropped. So send them our way. We'll make sure to get you the lowest price if they have. And yeah, like I said, we have a 24/7 team, support team. If you have any questions, we're super accessible. Support at theskykey.com, or you can go on our website and hit the chat icon and someone can help you that way. So that's the best next step. We're on LinkedIn. We're not too much on many social platforms, but LinkedIn's probably where we're most active.
Awesome. That's where I'm most active. So I will make sure to share everything you guys got. But really appreciate you coming on again. This was super helpful for our listeners. If you're a first time listener tuning in, make sure you hit that follow or subscribe button. We release a weekly episode every Wednesday, so you'll get those. Also, if you think Jacob deserves a 5 star, I think he does. Make sure you give us a 5 star review. And share with a family or friend if they like saving money, traveling, less mental gymnastics. That is what we're here to do and help you. So really appreciate you coming on, Jacob, and we will see you guys next week.
Thanks, Russ. Appreciate it.